Hello and welcome to Never a Foul. It's your evening debate special show. Of course, we got one of the big guys out there. Of course, Terry Flores from the Football Terrace, the host. First time, I see him on a different channel. Big up Terry for coming on. I'm here with Cass and Ty. We're here today to talk about Man City, who can dethrone them, and can they do the four-peat also? Who's going to improve the most this year? With all this crazy transfer window, Man United with Højlund now coming, Liverpool, McAllister, Szoboszlai, linked with Lavia as well, and also Arsenal with 105 million signing Declan Rice. But how's everybody doing? Everybody in the chat, everybody with us. Terry, welcome to Never a Foul. Love to see you here, my man. Appreciate you coming on and be our guest today. So how are you feeling?
Mate, I'm good. It's nice to not be the host. It's nice to not have to prep to a degree. I know what we're talking about a little bit by the title, but I know you guys didn't send me an agenda, but I quite like it. It's just nice and relaxed and ready to talk a little bit of football. I haven't got to worry, is the stream working? How many people are tuning in? I haven't got to worry about the comments so much. It's nice. It's relaxed. It's chilled. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ty and Cass, you guys are good. But just to notice, before you guys, is 3 Man United fans. I'm going to call Terry here a Man United fan.
Whoa. He's an Arsenal fan.
You got him.
Don't tell anyone. That's a secret. That's for behind the scenes.
Arsenal are scary.
They are. Yeah.
I just remember to send me a paper
afterwards. Ty, how are you doing, my man?
It's good to have you on, man. 100%. Mo, big up for hosting as always. Cass is one side, and obviously subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already. Check out the Football Chase if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you here know the Football Chase, of course. And yeah, it's gonna be a good debate, man. I think even though there's 3 United fans on, I don't feel like it's even a bias thing. We all talk football good generically anyway, so I feel like people that come here and are watching know that they're gonna get a good footballing debate. So yeah, man, big up everyone and happy Friday and weekend, man.
No, the bosses allowed you to come in with us, Terry, from the Football Terrace. I'm noticing.
I know, it's great. You know what I mean? I had to ask his permission. His permission. Am I allowed to go on another show? And he said yes. So yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
So we're starting right away, guys, so we don't waste time because the time is precious. Man City won a treble. I think that's the pinnacle. In my opinion, that's the pinnacle of football. This is it. When you reach a treble, including the Champions League, the treble, which includes the Cup, of course, the Premier League and the Champions League. But they are in line to win fourth. Is anybody coming close to them? Arsenal signing Declan Rice, getting Havertz, getting rid of Xhaka, signing Timber. Looks like the team is bright. The future is bright for them. Are they the closest to dethrone Man City in your all's opinion?
Right now, yes, but the window's not shut. If Man United can get Amrabat, Højlund, and then do a madness with Harry Kane, then I believe we will be the second favourites behind City to win the league. I truly believe that a signing like Harry Kane will bang in 30 goals. But yeah, Arsenal right now have to be looked at in that way. In fairness, most Liverpool fans I speak to think they're going to finish ahead of us. So it's kind of weird. Rivals don't think Man United are very good, but they want us to say that we're going to challenge for the league. It's all a bit strange, but I think Arsenal have to be looked at as second favourites. Then between us and Liverpool, really. But the window's got to close first. But I don't know about City doing a four-peat. I know that they're brilliant. I know that they've just done a treble, but I get a feeling there's going to be just a slight. They'll still make the top 4 easy. They'll still be in a title race, but just a slight drop off next year after achieving immortality, really. So. That's hope, by the way. That is hope, but yeah, I think.
Let me ask you a question off the back of that, then, Terry. Yeah, so playing devil's advocate, if you think there's going to be a drop off with Man City, let's think of the League Cup. I know they win quite a lot of the times, but for them, that's probably not seen as a priority. FA Cup is kind of like if you're there, like they did last year, and they got to the final. Manchester United, they played very well. They beat us. Champions League and League for me is like their bread and butter now. That they're kind of in that status where they've won the Champions League. They probably want to go back to back in that, and they want to try and do the four-peat in the league and obviously do what we couldn't do in terms of we obviously won 3 in a row. if they are to drop off, then if I'm not counting the League Cup for me as a big target for City, and the FA Cup's kind of like they've won it so many times, surely a drop off would have to be just League or Champions League, or you actually counting the other two in it? Because I feel like City's priority is empty now.
Look, the thing with the cup competitions, the draw you get is really key. I always remember back to 2013 where the 2012-2013 season, and we were away to City in the third round, beat them. Rooney, I think the company got sent off for a 2-footed tackle that day. Oh, thank God we got past them. Fourth round draw happens, and we're away at Liverpool. And you just sort of think to yourself, the beating City and Liverpool away from home in back-to-back cup games is very, very difficult. But sometimes you get an easy cup run. So City can win those competitions still. When I say a drop-off from City, though, I'm talking like 5%, but just enough to allow someone to pip them to a title. I'm not thinking.
Okay, so you're about losing the title then.
Yeah. I'm thinking just a little bit. And isn't it even just because they won last year? And my mind may change before a ball's kicked, but there's still talk of Walker leaving. I know they've come out and said Bernardo Silva isn't going to go, but let's see what happens. Yes, they're linked to Guardiola, but there's no links to any other players. Kovacic is nowhere near as good as Gundogan. KDB last season was starting to look a little bit old. So far, I just don't feel like the link with Elise, who I think is really good, but he ain't replacing Mahrez and his ability there. So I don't know. For me, I just sort of feel as though there might be a 5, maybe 10% drop off that will open the door only slightly for a Arsenal or Liverpool or maybe even a Man United to kind of push their way through. But City is still dangerous. They're still going to be a very good team, but I just think it's a very slight drop off.
Cass, I want to ask you a question, Cass. I want to ask you a question. What's a not successful season for Man City? What is considered next year a not successful season for Man City?
Not winning the league or minimum 2 trophies. That's the pinnacle of, where we used to be 20 years ago, right? It's probably what Liverpool fans thought they were gonna, think about. But I've got the question as well, because every year, it's true, to be fair, every year we always think that City might drop off, right? So we always say, yeah, it's this year. We thought it was last year because we thought Højlund was going to ruin the way they play football ultimately. And then before...
I love how you said Højlund.
Yeah, his mind is there, His mind is there.
Haaland, my bad. Sorry, it's good. So, I thought last year was going to be their drop off, and I don't think they were going to play a style as great as they was. They finished on 89 points, and that's their lowest point tally in forever. And I get that, Gundogan's not there. Mahrez might not be there, or he's not there anymore, shall I say. They're both not there. Kyle Walker might not either. But with their new rigid defense, their stubborn defense, I don't think nobody scored even more than 2 goals than in their last collective, 15? Was it about 13, 14, 15 games? And it's like, if they don't, if someone can't score against them, if anything, they're going to be winning the 1-2s, if not 5-0s. So if they dropped off on 89 points, do they drop off? Do they only make up an extra 3 points, just to make 92? Because I don't know if I see any other team other than Arsenal currently in this moment of time getting maybe 95, 94 points or something like that next season. And you're telling me that City can't make up another 6 points? Because if we think about it, they threw the last 2 games at the end of the season. And we all said City's not the same in January. And then look what happened. The biggest bottle job in history happened.
And this is the thing as well, yeah, because with Man City dropping off 5%, using what Terry said, right? If Man City and the way they are to drop off 5%, are we still banking on an Arsenal team with a Declan Rice that we even said yesterday? I think Timber will have a better first season than what Rice will at Arsenal Football Club, even though Rice will become good. You got Declan Rice is obviously the new signing with Timber, and you got Havertz. Now, Thomas Partey is looking like he's going to stay. They've obviously lost Granit Xhaka, so they haven't lost too much so far. But if City are to drop off 5%, Mo, do you think Arsenal can then improve maybe that 15%, which I think it would take Arsenal to then overtake Man City? Because I think if City still drop off 5%, I think that 5% personally is still good enough to win the league. And that's because they have the mentality of winning leagues already. They've already beaten Arsenal to a league, and Jesus has already said they got nervous. Will they learn from that? City have still signed Kovacic, even though Gundogan's gone, but Kovacic looks like he's fitting like a glove. And they're probably going to do more business now. Mahrez is gone. So can Arsenal even bridge a 5% gap? Like, how much would they need to improve if we're talking about them being the closest challengers?
So, in my opinion, and I said that many times on many streams, Granit Xhaka last year was pivotal to how Arsenal performed. On that left side, was the link. Sometimes he's the highest guy on the pitch, and sometimes he is doing the last ditch tackle just 1 minute later and the 18. Can Declan Rice do that? We agreed yesterday that Declan Rice, it might take him a little bit of time to get the same output as Xhaka. So unless Arteta, I doubt that Arteta can get Rice up to speed quickly enough before everybody kicks in and start collecting points. I think that Declan Rice on the left will have a great future for Arsenal Football Club, but in the near future, Arsenal might struggle a little bit with Declan Rice to get the same output as Xhaka had last year. This is my opinion, because every time I was watching Arsenal last year, it was a whole 11 players committed, and we saw what happened. When one of them got injured, the drop-off was massive. So I'm expecting Rice to take a little bit of time, and I think that time might be too late.
Exactly. That's not going to be enough to capitalize on a 5% potential drop off from City.
Let me ask Terry something then. What does it take for Arsenal next season? What do you look at them now as a collective when they're trying to find out a new thing with Havertz as the 8 or whatever it might be, which I don't think it's going to end up being? What would it take for Arsenal now to really win the league rather than City pip into their 4th league title?
Well, I think, look, first of all, City are still even though I'm saying they may leave the door ajar, I still have them as my favourites right now. You know, I think they can give somebody an opportunity, and I feel that someone might pit them to it, but they're still my favourites. And there's a comment that I saw Daps put in around Walker and somebody else didn't become starters until around March till May. But that's why City have been so strong, because Bernardo Silva weren't performing, Mahrez could come in. You know, if Bernardo Silva could come into the team, Carl Walker just ridiculously good. If they lose a couple more of those players, and it is an if, but that's what predictions are. If they don't replace him with that side, they're talking about Pavard in for Walker. That's a big drop off in terms of quality of individual player. I think Carl Walker is light years ahead of him, and those little details can push the door ajar. In terms of Arsenal, look, I don't know if they'll start as well as they did last year, but they don't necessarily need to. They need to end a lot better. That 4-game run-in was crazy. I don't think Arsenal need to change too much. I think there's 2 things that are really important. Mikel Arteta is going to be tested as a manager this season and not just a coach, because he doesn't need, if they're not ready, to start his 3 new signings from match day 1. In fact, he doesn't need to start any of them. There's, of course, pressure from rivals and the media around, well, you can't spend £65 million on Kai Havertz and not play him. Yes, you can. We've seen Klopp and Pep, the 2 best managers in the last decade in the Premier League, consistently sign players for large amounts of money that may not necessarily start straight away, or they do start straight away, and then you see them go through 2 months where they're barely kicking a ball. Arteta has got to manage the team right. And if Kai Havertz isn't ready to start at the beginning of the season, confidence, the system isn't quite clicking, keep him on the bench. That's going to be first thing they've got to do. Not almost not being forced, like peer pressure, into playing players that are not ready or are not in form. And the second thing is learning from those mistakes of last year, the pain they went through when they failed, almost weaponizing that and making them better the following year. And I always go back to a famous Fergie story when this happened in the 90s when at West Ham, but then it happened again at Sunderland. It happened twice in Fergie's career, where we lost on the final day of the season, and the away fans were jeering and laughing. Well, the home fans, actually, because we were away at Sunderland and away at Upton Park, were jeering and laughing. Even though their teams were shit, they're still jeering and laughing at us. And Fergie essentially was able to weaponize that and use it as motivation for the following season. Arsenal have got to do something along those lines this year, is take that pain, weaponize it, and make themselves better, because they can't afford to throw it away again. They're probably in a more vulnerable position than any other team in the top 6 if they regress, if that makes sense, because I think their fans will lose their minds. Personally, I think their fans will lose their minds. I really, really do. And yeah, it's going to be interesting, but they need, as I say, the manager needs to manage well and not be forced into playing players that aren't ready. And they've got to learn from their mistakes, weaponize it, and become more mentally resilient, in my opinion. The mentality side is more important than the footballing side, because that's very good. That's very, very good what Arsenal do. That's not. I don't think they need to improve their football at all. They need to be more mentally stronger, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, There's a lot of you here, 800 people here already, and we haven't even hit 15 minutes in. Please hit that like button for us. The like button help us move to the next person. And I'm going to say it, if you're selfish and you want to watch the channel by yourself, don't hit the like button. But if you want the channel to expand, hit that like button so we can expand. A couple of super chats I want to do here. It's Chombai is saying, Terry the GOAT is in the house. Big up. Thank you so much for the super chat. As well, Tiang Yang is saying, it's weird seeing Terry not the host. Yeah, we got it. I hear never foul. Staffy, big up Staffy, my friend, my brother. Guy top right is good. He should start his own show. Well, we'll talk to him about it.
Maybe one day.
And also, Muhammad A is saying, rivals begging for City to drop off every year. Listen, my man.
I beg him for it.
Everybody just can hope. Everybody can hope that City will drop off.
Guardiola, I'm sick of him.
And he seems to just make a change every year, like this formation change that he's done already this year. He'll do something again next year, knowing that everyone else is going to play that way. And I think the biggest thing with Arsenal for me, Mo, is that people got to remember they're going to be in the Champions League this year, and they haven't been in the Champions League for a while. So when we're talking about mentality with Arsenal as well, they've got to get through the group stages. That's a must for Arsenal Football Club. And I already said it. I don't know what it was. It was a few weeks ago on another show, right? And I was saying, if you look at the home form of Arsenal, I think you might have been on the show with me, Mo. If you look at Arsenal in terms of their home form and the way they play, if you're looking at teams across Europe right now, European football is going through a bit of a dip. PSG are not as strong as what they would like to be. Real Madrid are kind of buying a few new players. Bellingham's coming in. Benzema's going now. It's a little bit of a transition phase. Barcelona are trying to find their way. You've got Man City top of the crop at the moment, and Bayern, even though they're the German powerhouses, they only just won the league on the last day of the season. So if you put Arsenal in the sort of the quarterfinals or the last 16 of a Champions League or semi-finals, apart from Man City, they're probably going to fancy themselves to get a result definitely at home. So the expectation from the fans is to definitely get far in the Champions League. They already said that they want to win a trophy. They're saying if Arteta don't win a trophy, he could potentially be out the door. So like Terry's saying with the mentality, they are going to be tested in the league, but also the Champions League as well, because they're going to have to play midweek. And if they suffer a shock defeat or a setback, they've got to be ready to go again in 3 days and not hope that it has a domino effect. And we've already seen last season that Arsenal, once they did get tested or collapsed a bit, they did collapse. They drew at home to Southampton, drew away or what it was at West Ham, and now they're in the Champions League. So it's another test that way as well.
Can I throw another scenario there? Just devil's advocate. If Man City starts slow, I thought last year they didn't start slow. They had to change the way they played after March to actually go on that mad run that they did at the end. If Man City have new players, as Walker is tipped to leave, Laporte is tipped to leave, now Mahr is left, do we think if City starts slow? Now, teams are all strengthened. Man United are strengthening. Liverpool, I'm not going to throw Chelsea there yet, and Arsenal are on paper strengthening. Do we think that if City start late, it might be too late for them at the end of the season? Because if Arsenal didn't drop, and Liverpool fans said it I was with Sam with the show, and he said, if we were in Arsenal spot, we would not have dropped the league. We would have won the league. Do we think anybody has the mentality to start strong, and by the time City start good, be good at the end, it's too late for them? Does anybody think that at all?
Do you know what they didn't have? The thing was though, and this is one of the areas where I got called an Arsenal fan last year.
You are one.
they
don't forget you was a Liverpool fan before that.
Yeah, Liverpool fan before that, Chelsea the year before, to be fair. But they
fair.
They weren't that slow. I just went back and looked, right? After 14 games, and I'm using 14 as an example because that was when we broke for the World Cup. They were 1 point above their average at that stage of the last 7 years. And the Centurion season and the 99 points a year later skews that average a little bit higher, right? So, the medium's a little bit below that. Arsenal just had an exceptional start, if that makes sense. Like Arsenal were on the they were almost on a winning run. They carried on winning at that rate. They could have done Centurions themselves.
100 points.
Yeah. So they were on that. So I don't think it's this perspective, isn't it? It's one of them things. It's kind of like it's someone who's 6 foot is pretty tall next to someone like KJ that's really short. But you put someone who's 7 foot next to the 6 foot guy, the 6 foot guy looks short. And I just think Arsenal's start was so quick. It made everybody think that Man City had a really slow start. It wasn't. Listen, I would love to get 14 games in and to be on 32 points. That's pretty good. Like most clubs would love that, and I think City fans would be happy with it. So I don't know if they're going to have a slow start. Listen, if they lose 2 and draw 2 in their first 14 games, again, it gives everybody half a chance, but it's still a fantastic start from City.
So, what I want to ask a question is, what do Arsenal? Last thing about Arsenal.
Quick one. By the way, the chat in YouTube is moving slow. People need to know this. There's something wrong with StreamYard and YouTube as well, so things are coming in a bit late. So if anyone doesn't, if you put in a super chat, it might come in late. Noticed this yesterday. Just a little notice. If you don't bring it up, pause.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is, the last thing about Arsenal is, from all you guys, does Arsenal missing anything? Is there anything left for them to do to improve the team? I know you can always improve. I know there is not. You can buy Haaland tomorrow. You can go and buy Mbappe. But is there anything left for them to do to be that team that can have the same start and can challenge Man City and probably win the title, reach a Champions League semi-final? Anything left?
Yep. For me, yes, there is. 100%. I either think there's two ways you can look at it. Gabriel Jesus is a great striker in terms of what he does for the link-up play, bringing in the others. We've seen that in the first half of the season before his injury, he was very good. Like, I'll give him his credit. Like, he came in, made an impact. You can see what he was doing to Martinelli, to Saka. Odegaard started getting more goals, and then obviously got the injury. And Nketiah came in. Fair play to him. He held it up, and he showed that he could sort of fill the void to an extent. But we're talking fill the void to win a Premier League title. We're talking fill a void to then help them in the Champions League. But this question mark for me in terms of Arsenal is they've got Martinelli, they've got Trossard who can play on the left and play central at times if they need to. But Bukayo Saka is a very good footballer. How many games is he going to start next season? How many games is he going to play for Arteta? He is the nailed-on starter on the right wing. And for me, they don't have enough depth in that area. Now, they've been linked to Kudus, who can play on the right. He can play centrally. He can play false nine. You've got Reece Nelson. I respect Reece Nelson. But do I think he's good enough to be the backup to Bukayo Saka? I don't. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't think he's good enough. So when you look at it after that, who is actually their right winger who can?
What about Havertz?
No, on the right. Are you mad? The people that succeed in the Premier League on the wing are explosive, or they're quick, or they're like Murray's and Saka's, where they're technical, left footers, Elise's, and they come inside. I'm sorry, Havertz on the wing. I would love to see it as a rival. Go on, Arteta, do it. Try your magic. Try your magic. We'll be above you. But being realistic with you, like, they need to sign a right winger for me that can compete with Saka or be a very good understudy, because we've seen City do it with Foden and Grealish on the left. They've got Mahrez or Bernardo or Julian Alvarez can sometimes play on the right. That's quality and depth, and that's what gets you to winning trebles and stuff like that. Saka, for me, Champions League and Premier League, we're talking 50 plus games, one injury, and they've got a problem there. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I think
I agree.
I disagree. I don't think they need two in every position. Why do you need two in every position? I don't see.
Tell me a Saka replacement, Cass. That's very good. That you're going to be like, okay,
Jesus, and then they can put something else up front. Why?
Is the up front are then gonna is Nketiah going to be able to lead the line properly, how they'd probably want to win a title?
When Liverpool won the league, they didn't have two in every position that was majorly sick. Right? They don't need two in every position to be majorly sick and go and win the league. City have just lost, as we expect City to drop off that 5%. We all do, in hope, or whether it's true or whatever you want to think about in two ways. You don't need two sick players in every position to go.
I think the drop off from Saka.
We was complaining about this earlier, talking about who was it, Chelsea or something like that. They don't need two in every position to go forward to do this, that, and the other. Blah 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 blah. It's not like City have two in every position. They don't do this. So if we're talking about drop off and we're saying how good Arsenal really are, why do they need it? They've got people. They've got about 3 players in every single position.
I don't think the quality from Saka to the rest is good enough. I want to see what Terry thinks.
I agree. So go on, Mo.
No, I wanted to ask you the question because both of them said right wing. I wanted to ask you a question. Is Arsenal in a place like Man City where you can have 2 superstars, one of them sitting on a bench for a whole season? Is Arsenal now, the pull, the way they are, the project, can have 2 players, superstars? I'm going to call Saka superstar, like Mahrez, like Bernardo, and you have one of them sitting on the bench. Is that what Arsenal are now?
I'm chipping in, Mo, just quickly. And Terry, answer on the Saka bit as well, because I do want to hear what you're going to say on that.
No, I agree. So for me, I look at it this way. I look at Mohamed Kudus as an example. Better than Reece James. Better than, again, he can play AM, he can play as striker, and he can play on the right-hand side. So he's better than Fabio Vieira. He's better than Reece Nelson. I think his ceiling will make him better than Trossard, as an example. I think he will be better in the wide positions than Gabriel Jesus. And I think he's better than Kai Havertz personally. I really do. So I look at someone like him available for £40 million, spend the money, sell Eddie Nketiah as an example. There's rumors that Palace want him for 35 million. Sell him for 35 million and go and buy Mohamed Kudus. You are upping the level. Then it kind of goes to your point, Mo, where you're adding, let's say from the start of the season, someone like Mohamed Kudus on your bench is a much better impact player than an Eddie Nketiah coming on up front, or Reece Nelson. Now, I know Reece Nelson just done a new deal. I know Nketiah did last year, but the fans shouldn't be worried about that. It's go out there and spend the money and continue to improve your team. So I think Arsenal are set to have a very good season, and I do think it will work. I think Partey and Rice in the middle together are going to create a very dangerous midfield that's going to be hard to break down, difficult to deal with. Odegaard does what he does. And I actually think Kai Havertz won't have a bad season if he's used in the right way. But if they could just add more strength in depth now, and fans just get on board with this, drop this, for me, silly notion of, oh, I love Reece though, and that goal he scored, and he just had a new deal, and oh, come on, Eddie, your defense is in trouble. Drop all that bollocks, and just you should want your club to get there and spend it. Mohamed Kudus, £40 million.
False nine and right wing. You've got to do it,
and that way it isn't true in every position, but you've got someone of such high. And by the way, with Mohamed, I actually think his ceiling is so good, he could become a starter at some point at Arsenal. I think he's that talented. And that's what you should be aiming for always, is what I call top filling. Bringing somebody in that can oust a member of your current starting 11, just like they've done with Urian Timber. He's good enough to become a centre-back or a right-back for them on a permanent basis. Declan Rice, absolutely. Yet remains to be seen whether Kai Havertz can do that, in my opinion. But that's what you've got to be aiming for. So I think Arsenal are in a good place, but I think they can add more star quality between now and the end of the window, and then they become an even more dangerous team for me.
So we want to move on to. I want to move on. I'm before we talk about Man, I'm leaving Man United till the end, right? I'm just want to talk about Liverpool. They got rid of the two experienced player, Fabinho. Fabinho is probably, Fabrizio said today that he's most likely to go. Henderson is gone. They are linked to Lavia, and they have Szoboszlai, who's 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken, McAllister, 24 years old. Can this team, if Thiago's injured, without experience in the middle, go on to get where they were before? Second, challenging Man City. I know what everybody thinks. I think it lacks a little bit of experience, and I don't think it's good to replace all the midfielders you have in one window, which is done in like 3 windows or something. They've done it in one window. I'm not sure if Jurgen Klopp can get the best out of them as quickly as possible.
It's consistency, 38 games. Can that midfield three win you a league? And we're talking about going up against the treble winners, we just said, an Arsenal team that is one of the best Arsenal teams in terms of cohesiveness we've seen in years. To bring in 3 new midfielders into a Liverpool team that's been based off hard work, energy, the Wijnaldum, Henderson midfield, whether people like them as individual players or not, as a collective, they worked. Simple as that. They knew the system, what Klopp's done. You've got to bring in Szoboszlai, you've got to bring in McAllister, who's got Premier League experience, of course, and you've got to bring in a Lavia, who's under 20 years of age, and then you're trying to compete for a Premier League title. I think that falls short for me. There will be games, right, where Liverpool will look brilliant. Let's not get it twisted. There's going to be games where Liverpool score 3 or 4. We've seen it in pre-season. They're scoring 4 or 5, but me and Cass are laughing because they're conceding 4 or 5 as well against these German teams. I know it's only pre-season, but the bottom line is they're scoring 4, but they're conceding 4. Now, Lavia is a very good player, and I believe that in years to come, he will be the player that they want him to become. McAllister's a solid profile, but I've always said to you guys, he's good, but you'll need players around him to help him fully tick. I think Caicedo is the better player when he's played against United. He always stands out more. And Szoboszlai, an unknown quantity in terms of scored goals in the Bundesliga. They haven't had a creative midfielder since Coutinho, but 60 million to come in and have the sudden impact when Liverpool have had the season they've had before. I think that falls short of competing with a team like Man City when you're trying for a title, and Arsenal as well. I think Liverpool can make top 4. No doubts about it. I've actually put them in my top 4 already. But to challenge for a title and actually take on this City and Arsenal team, I'll be honest with you. Sorry, Monts. I'm not being careful. I'm being truthful. There we go. So, yeah.
I like it.
So, yeah, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but probably me, as Man United fans, even though obviously me, Terry and Cass are, I don't think we're going to sit and say, yeah, Liverpool are beating City. We're not confident enough in that. They still need a centre-back. They still probably need another midfielder on top. You know, there's questions about Robertson and if he's going to slowly start dipping, if they need a left centre-back. So there's still work to be done. They fall short over 38 games.
Terry,
can't
do you think? Go ahead. You're gonna run. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you know, before that, quick one, a little shameless plug. Before you do that, guys, look at this. Is my camera there? It's not hard.
Yeah.
Look. Oh my word! Did you see that? Oh, sorry, low battery.
Yeah.
Like my one's pushed. I don't know if your one's pushed, but that's not enough. You lot are disrespecting the likes. That can easily.
Terry, did you like the video, Terry?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Okay.
I have liked it, and what I'll do, just hang on, why my phone ain't opening. My
He's
phone's
gonna go on his other 10 accounts. That's what he's gonna do. Because
no, like legit. Like I'll put it up on the screen. You can see. Hopefully, it will zoom in. I hit the like button. You can see it, right?
Wow.
Yes.
There we go. I'm not someone who says yes, I've hit the like button, then don't. So, and that's on the official, yeah, not my burner account. I do have a burner account, to be fair, so I can leave comments and no one knows it's me. more other things I watch, because it's like I don't want it to be the football terrorists commenting on a Joe Rogan podcast, because some people get angry about that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So anyway,
Terry, the question is for you: are Liverpool throwing all the eggs in Jurgen Klopp's basket?
You know what? Just get out. You just disrespected the super chat. Murad says if he's played as right wing as at City, he can do it as well. That's very true.
Yeah,
and says, host look and speaks like name 10 books kid. What?
Have you not seen that
No.
kid? He's like 15. He's on a podcast and he turns around to this girl and said, because you're illiterate. He goes, name me 10 books. And she says, like, The Hunger Games. He went, that's not the name of a book, right? Because obviously there's different names of it. Have you ever seen that? It's Go Fight. You do sound a bit like him, Mo, or he sounds like you. He's younger than you. That's great super chat.
No, I need to do that. I was gonna put my piece. Pause on Liverpool's.
Go ahead. It's your channel. It's fine.
Because and it's yours too. There's because they got Europa League, and I think it's going to be tough, and everyone's strengthening, and they still ain't got a bully yet in their DM currently, because we can only think what's currently right and who they're linked with. Lavia and who else? I don't know who else, and I don't know who they're going to be linked with at centre back. Man United finish above Liverpool. That's why I don't think they challenge for the league. I don't care that they've done it before, but I think we finish above them, and that's just put in my head where I think we're going to be by next week. With maybe potentially looks like Højlund's in, and potentially as well Amrabat. And I think that's great cover, and I think that's just kind of disregarded, and I think that's a good chance to put yourself maybe third, even second, even though it's exactly the same thing. But I don't see Liverpool finishing above United right now, and I don't see them finishing above Arsenal currently until they get someone else other than Lavia, and also a backup centre back who I don't even know who is going to be yet until I see some strong links. They go get Palhinha, I'm having a different conversation. I'm thinking, oh wow, but then they've got to gel that whole midfield as well.
Gelling 3 midfielders, 4 if they get another
4 midfielders, and potentially a youngster as well in Bajcetic, you know, and that's all I'm trying to go above. I'm not saying Liverpool not going to finish in the Champions League spot, but to say or think because of revisionism that they've won the league once before, that all of a sudden they're going from a terrible season in their case to, you know, challenging for the league whilst they're in Europa League. Wow, by the way, no one's ever been in Europa League and won the league. There's a little fact.
It gives me Brendan Rodgers. I'm already thinking like I'm not comparing Jurgen Klopp to Brendan Rodgers before the comments go mental, by the way. But when I look at Brendan Rodgers in that year in 2014, last year uni, 2014, when they drew that game to Palace or whatever it was, I felt like that year, Liverpool, yes, they played good football, of course, with like Sterling, Suarez, Sturridge, but I felt like it was a Liverpool team that wasn't like controlling games. It was like, right, you're going to score 3, we're going to score 4. You're going to score 1, we're going to score 2. And they just outscored teams. And it was like the volume of goals. And I think that Liverpool will score goals this year. I'm just unsure if the quality at the back will be there throughout the whole season. Ferguson's always said defense win titles, of course. And you know that. Look at City this year with their 4 centre-backs, but they've managed to make it work. So for me, I just don't know if they're going to have that solidified defense to like keep teams out. They will outscore teams. They'll win some thrillers. There'll be some banging games in Liverpool. But can they do that for a long time of the season? I think to get top 4, you can. But to win a league, they definitely need, I think, another 3 more players, including that centre-back 100% and the midfielder. Definitely.
Yeah.
Why did Mo? I want to ask you something. You're hosting, but Cass said, I think United can finish above Liverpool. And you're facing like you was on a roller coaster. So I want to know why. Will. So Mo, why did your face do all the...
So to be honest, because every time I said that, people didn't believe me. When before the preseason last year, when I saw Ten Hag play and a couple of games, and I said this team looked like there's a footprint. And most of the season, I saw the footprint, especially in the home games. And I'm saying that with Amrabat, now with Onana, which he was Inter goalkeeper, and I saw it in the friendly, even though you lost to Real Madrid, I saw Lisandro Martinez on halfway line, and I saw players 20 yards higher than when they were last year. And I think that will give you more opportunities to score goals. And I think your defense with Lisandro Martinez and Varane, who is quick, who needs to learn a bit of positioning, I think away form for you, it will be better for you. You will control games more. So I think you'll add, even without having Harry Kane, with Højlund, and add in Amrabat, who I think is better than Eriksen in that role next to Casemiro if needed to be playing there. I think you'll add 10 points. That automatically give you 86 points. And home and away against the top 6, Man United, against Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, you lost and won. So that direct result didn't affect your place in the league. It was directly down to your away form. So I am thinking that Man United at the moment are more ready to actually go and challenge Arsenal for the second spot and get closer to Man City than Liverpool, just because of the new
so you was agreeing with Cass with that facial expression?
100%.
Oh,
because I asked Terry a question. I asked Terry a question, and I said, are they putting all their eggs in Jurgen Klopp's basket? Which I mean, if you go to a coach and you remove the two players in the midfield that have the experience and they carried everybody's hand, they held everybody's hand, is that too much faith in a coach that had a terrible first half of the season last year?
I don't think it's too much faith in the coach. I think Klopp has got enough credit in the bank to do this. The problem that Liverpool have got is they're doing a whole midfield rebuild in one summer, where each of these 3 players they're bringing in could have been drip fed over the last 3 seasons. They could, Szoboszlai last year, McAllister. It doesn't need to be these actual individuals, but a new addition each of the last 3 seasons. And now they wouldn't need to be trying to create chemistry between 3 players who have never played with each other before. Now, it could click and it could work. But do I see that young midfield being brilliant for 38 games and having enough to beat Man City to this league title and to finish in front of Arsenal? I don't. I think they'll make the top 4 because I do think there's some brilliant players in this Liverpool team. What I'm also not convinced about yet, and Liverpool fans, most of last season, them and the media, even when they went on that run of games where they won 9 of the last 11 matches, I watched them all. I watched every single game that every top 6 team plays. And next season, I'm going up another level because I'm going to be watching Newcastle's as well. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I will. They were lucky in a lot of them games. They were lucky. The Nottingham Forest game at home, as an example, they were still conceding in lots of them games so many chances. Now, that could all be fixed if this midfield clicks, and a lot of us, it's the midfield that let us down. I think there's still issues at the back defensively. Yes, they look like a better team when Trent went into that inverted role, but that was when there was no pressure on them and they'd already been written off. That needs to be tested. And of course, you need much more from Gakpo and much more from Darwin Núñez in terms of consistency this year to win the league. And I just don't know if all those things are going to click into play for them to be Premier League champions. There's a lot of question marks over Liverpool, and their fans are demanding more defenders and even more midfielders, and they're not going to get them. I think they'll sign Lavia, and I think they'll be done. But I do think they'll be good enough for the top 4 with everybody that they've got in their squad. But I just don't see them having a good enough team next year to win the league title. And where the disappointment will come in, and this probably won't fall upon Klopp's shoulders, is that the way they're buying this summer is what they should have been doing consistently over the last 2 to 3 years. And it's the message I sent out to Arsenal fans, is that you're in a position now where you're one of the best teams in England. The way you've spent this year, last year, that's kind of got to just keep continuing, like City do, to maintain your level. Liverpool fans probably feel sick in their heart of hearts, if they're being honest. They'd become the best team in the world. They'd surpass City. And then they stopped investing and they fell back behind them again. So they're just playing catch up again now, Liverpool. And I just don't quite think they're going to be good enough this year. Although there'll be a big improvement on last year. I think they make the top 4. They can definitely pick up trophies. They're always going to be a threat in the Champions League because it's knockout football. But Premier League will just be one step too far, I think.
Yeah. And do I want to ask you all a question, by the way? And then I know there's super chats as well. Everyone's talking about Gakpo this year having a very good season in this false 9 role. He seems to be picking up the Firmino role better than what Núñez has. I want to just see if it's an easy answer or if there's someone's got a different answer. Now, Mo Salah is the consistent guy at Liverpool. Despite his performances that some people don't like, he gets numbers. He's guaranteed to score you goals in big moments. Cody Gakpo seems to be the second in line in terms of, okay, if Salah has a little bit of a drop-off, Gakpo could step up. He could be the second best attacker this year. Do you guys all believe Gakpo will be the second best attacker, or do you think Luis Diaz coming back from injury, Darwin Núñez, having a full preseason, playing left, playing central, or Diogo Jota, who we also know can step up when needed with his work rate, could outshine Gakpo? Or are we all thinking Gakpo is the second in charge of this Liverpool attack?
That's a good question, bro.
I think Gakpo. It's interesting because listening to Liverpool fans this summer, because I haven't watched any of their preseason stuff, just haven't had the time. There's a lot of talk of like Luis Diaz not really, fans sort of like, don't know how good he really is. Considering this time last year, he was being talked up as the next big Anfield superstar. But the way they went and got Gakpo and took him away from Man United, he definitely fancied. And so Darwin's the interesting one for me because he looked better on the left-hand side last year rather than in that number 9 role. But the one thing about him, and this is why I think they'll make the top 4, and this is why I think they'll have a good season, is I just don't see him missing all those chances again. And I think if he starts quickly and gets a few goals, keeps his confidence up, because he was just missing chances where you think, how did he miss that? And I think
he could easily been on 15 by Christmas.
There's a very good player in there. So I think those 3. I think it will be Darwin, Gakpo, and Mo Salah up top. But what's interesting is Szoboszlai. Now, what they haven't had Liverpool for a long time now is an actual midfielder who is creative.
Since Coutinho.
Exactly. Yeah, Coutinho was the last guy. So if Szoboszlai comes in and is creative, that could be a whole new lease of life for someone like Darwin through the middle. Because he's actually got someone feeding him rather than him trying to be, because he isn't, again, if you were asking Haaland to try and be Firmino, he'd score goals, but he wouldn't have done what he did last year. Darwin Núñez is a proper number 9, and he needs to be fed at the end of the day. Very few number 9s can do what Harry Kane does, drop deep and play make. It's a rare, and score goals. Firmino couldn't even do it. He could score a few goals and play make, but he couldn't do both at a prolific level. And I think if you just feed Darwin, that man could easily bag 20 to 25 league goals next season for Liverpool.
A lot of the comments, by the way, are saying Jota, a lot of them.
I believe that I'm going to do the super chat, but I believe Cody Gakpo is going to be the star, the shining star for Liverpool this year. I know Mo Salah is going to give you the outputs, the assists, and the goals, but I think Cody Gakpo, from what I've seen in this preseason, and I've seen at the end of last season, I think Cody Gakpo is developing to be a top player that can pass, score, shoot, move between spaces, have a great first touch. I think he's the only one that caused Rodri a little bit of trouble when he played against Man City in the 4-1, but he was the one that turned Rodri 2-3 times. He has the confidence. He's a very confident player, and I love what I saw from him. Let me do these couple of super chats before we move on to the next topic. Jesus, did we do that? No, we did this one. Honesty Hortensia is saying, as a Liverpool fan, I'm happy if Lavia comes in, but I think we need to look at Juventus for Zakaria since Juve is banned from European football. I'm gonna let anybody respond to that because, in my opinion, I don't think Zakaria is good enough for them. For Liverpool.
Nor do I.
No,
Simple.
He lives in the hospital as well, unfortunately, and they've just had one in Arthur. So what's the point?
You're better off developing by Tetic.
Yeah.
Jay here say, I don't think Szoboszlai can support Trent like Hendo did. We talked about this before. Konate is a beast and supports Trent well, but if he's out, then we have to rely on Matip, who looks past it, or Gomez, who looks past, for some reason, Gomez, like, just for me, isn't a center back anymore. Big up the panel. Thank you for the support.
This just on that, this is where Klopp last season needed to be called out, because when he did change the system, they did become a better team. They still had problems, but they became a better team. And they found a role for Trent towards the back end of last season where he wasn't being exposed anymore defensively. If Szoboszlai can't support and Konate is out and Matip struggling to cover the holes that Trent leaves, maybe you have to look at a situation where Trent ain't in the team. If you're leaking goals and you're conceding, then you have to look at that. And I think sometimes with Jurgen Klopp, it's either you change Trent's role. Like, he clearly changed Trent's role for a reason. Trent, when it comes to passing and playmaking the ball, is one of the best in the Premier League. In fact, he's one of the best in Europe. There's no doubt about it. But if, based on what Jay is saying here, so I'm basing it on this super chat, that there isn't the cover for the holes because Henderson's gone and Konate's out, for instance, then you have to look at the situation and go, are we better off again, with McAllister and Szoboszlai in the middle, you may not necessarily need Trent's passing as much, if that makes sense. He's always going to be brilliant here, but that's where Klopp's got to be ruthless. And a lot of his fans sometimes accuse him of being a little bit too sentimental. And so I'm only going by this super chat. I think they'll be okay personally, because you don't sign for Jurgen Klopp unless you're willing to work hard. So I think they'll cover. But if that was the case, then you'd have to look at taking Trent out.
I'm going to just jump in quickly. I get the logic you're applying to super chat, but no way that can happen. I'm sorry. If that happens, I'm like, I can't. As much as I love you, Terry, as much as I like you, Terry, for your opinions as well, I was like, nah, this one can't. But you just have to go, Klopp, go back to putting Trent at right back, and then you just cram the three midfielders and just try and work with that. And Trent can still get forward as a right back, still come into midfield at times and do the long balls over the top, but just play him as a back four, right back, which he's done for the last 4 or 5 years, apart from the last 3 months. He's still been successful. They have to have Trent in that team.
I don't understand. I don't understand why Szoboszlai can't do it. Yes, he can do that. Have you not seen him for Leipzig? Please, they are one of the best pressing teams and one of the most fittest teams I've seen in a while, right? Especially in the Bundesliga. Don't stop running. I've been saying it. He's usually he can do the Hendo role. Hendo,
what? You're about filling in at right back?
No. You know, with the right centre mid where you can sometimes go forward.
Yeah, but I think Terry means when Trent goes forward, Hendo used to fill in at right back.
Yeah, but I think Szoboszlai can do that role as well. He's got an engine on him. He's athletic.
I personally think that's going to be Lavia's kind of job to drop in on that right.
Yeah, he can do that. He can change up. But I think if he wanted to do the Hendo role, in my opinion, I think he can do it.
Yeah, I think
I don't think so.
It might be a hole though. It might be a hole for Liverpool. It was a hole last season, and it might be a hole this season where that's the kind of the weak point in the armor, and where you might be able to expose them. But this is the thing: it's the problem with Trent is such an enigma because he is so good. He is one of the barring David Beckham. I can't, and maybe KDB. I can't think of a better sort of diagonal balls, long passes, crosses than that man. And his vision is out of this world. The problem that you have, and the only reason I said what I said to that super chat is, if it's costing you goals and points, and stops you winning a league title, you have to look at a solution. And for me, I thought what they were going to do is permanently move him into midfield and buy a better right back defensively. Then you don't need to worry about anybody covering his position. And maybe that's part of the plan over the next, because I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if more people start doing what we've seen from Pep, where you start playing 4 centre-backs at the back with one stepping up into middle. I wouldn't be surprised if more people, I think the age of the marauding fullbacks might be over for a few years now, and that might be part of the plan there, but we'll see. But yeah, I think Trent, just just stop him from defending, keep him in the middle or up the other end, because then he's amazing. He really is. Yeah. He really is.
Can I just say, people, there's over 1,000 of you watching. I don't know what the likes are on right now, but guys, can you make sure you do smash a like? It's a Friday night, 11:20 p.m. We've got Terry on as a guest from the Football Terrace, and it's a great show so far. So, guys, make sure you keep supporting. Daps is in there now. Look, Daps says 29 likes or 500. Daps sent on today, by the way. We're getting ready for a big birthday bash tomorrow. We've got some big up Daps. But yeah, guys, please smash a like. It helps us reach new audiences around the world. And also, I want to quickly shout out the guys that commented yesterday, because we did say, where do you watch from? Did you watch the playbacks? I saw people from Japan, South Korea, Brazil, all these places. So big up you guys watching around the world.
We're like 7 subs or 13K as well, by the way. So if you haven't subscribe.
So there we go. We're Mason Mount away from 13.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do one super chat because we're gonna go back to United. I'm gonna do big 6 man super chat. Is that Subhajit? Okay, I'm butchering the name, to be honest. I think you said it right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Sack Teta, I love the name. I'm calling Arteta from now Teta. Sack Teta and hire the Derby if no Premier League this season. Well, we'll see how it is, but context to it. There's only one team that can win the Premier League, my friend, and the favorites, even if you strengthen, are Man City. Like, there's context. If they get 92 points, 93 points, and they lose the league for City by a point or two, are you going to say just sack Arteta? He had a terrible season. The guy progressed. I'm sorry. Context to everything, in my opinion. Mons, Big 6 fans, make sure to check them out. They are pinned in the description. Make sure to give them a subscription. Of course, our friends. Mons is saying, why everyone acting like United's new high line ain't an issue? Aaron Wan-Bissaka cannot hold the line, and Varane ain't used to it either. Yet United finishing above Liverpool. I'm gonna let the United fans respond to that.
Yeah, Varane at Real Madrid. Have we forgot that he used to just basically do that? I know his knees aren't the same, but
No, you know what? He's basing this off the Real Madrid game as well. Like, he looked uncomfortable there. Wan-Bissaka looked comfortable, but if you think about their offside goal, who was the one that was lurking in the back of the most? It was Wan-Bissaka, to be fair. Even though Jude Bellingham was off, but a lot of their times they were offside. If you can play like that against a Vinny Jr., then maybe you might be on something. He needs practice, I would say. But, you know, he's
and Onana's first game, Cass as well.
You're thinking Luis Diaz, Salah, and maybe even Gakpo, who are all fast on Nunes running at you. That high line might be an issue.
You know, it's really funny though. Last year we were getting slagged off because we had the lowest back line of the top 6 teams. Now that we moved it up a little bit, rather than rivals, because they slagged off playing deeper. Now instead of going, oh, well done, you move forward. Now it's a big problem for you. You should be sitting deeper. So again, what I will say to Monts, I'm going to call out the bullshit here and be like, brother, like last year we were sitting too deep. Now there's a problem that we're moving forward. My question back to you is, what should we do? Sit deep like you all told us we shouldn't do last year, or step forward like you're telling us we shouldn't do now? Because you're saying we shouldn't do both. So what are we meant to do? Sit back or push forward? I'm confused. I'm very confused. But yeah, it's not that big an issue to me. As you say, their goal, where the one goal they scored that caught it out, it did its job still. It was offside. Like VAR would have ruled that goal out. Yeah, I don't know. I think people are just, it's weird. I've seen a lot of people talk about Man United again, and I can't wait to collect the predictions in, because it's like, I keep seeing people say 5th, 6th, 7th for us. But if we finish 3rd again and say we overachieved, they'll say, no way, not with your squad. Well, you better predict us coming at least 3rd then, you dickheads. Do you know what I mean? Not you, Mons. I'm not calling Mons a dickhead. I'm just saying in general. Like, you can't be coming out here saying we're 5th, 6th, or 7th. And then if we get higher than that, we didn't overachieve. Some intellectual honesty, please, people. Come on now.
He said, I didn't say you should do it. I said it's an issue by all means, just an adaptation period. A bit
you know, when you're conceding, sitting deep or playing a high line is always going to be an issue, because there's going to be something to pick a fault in. So you can't win. Simple.
I'm gonna say something here, just a statement. I think fixing a high line with a goalkeeper that just came to the club is easier than gelling 3 new midfielders. I'm just gonna say that.
I agree with that.
Before we're going to go back to Man United and talk about what Man United need to stay the same, 3rd, or move 10 points up. Guys, if you have questions for Terry or for us, get your super chats in. They are appreciated. They support the channel. Also hit that like button. Man United, Ten Hag 2nd season, lots of money spent, lots of money. What are the demands from Man United fans? What are progress for you?
Well, I don't even know if I even want to start this point off.
Well, I'll start
it. Yeah, go on, you start. Because if I say what I want to say in it, like, fans are just gonna say, "Oh, this, da 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 da."
That's already told you, mate. Say it for me. It doesn't matter.
Look, from my point of view, everyone knows I'm not buzzing about the Mount signing, but I do trust my manager, so I'm going to see how that one pans out. I love the Onana signing. I think I have seen a lot of people, like Dwight York, come out and be like, oh, I don't think he's that good. He's not as good as De Gea. I've seen certain weird online Man United fans, like, you know, the Love United, Hate Glaze a lot, talk about, I don't care about a goalkeeper's pass completion. That's not going to help us at all. He's not a midfielder. It just tells me they have zero understanding of Ten Hag's tactics and philosophy. It's going to be important. And it looks like we're going to get Højlund. I think he's such a talent. And I know he didn't have a great goal return last year, but read up on this kid and what people are predicting from him. I think he's going to be an absolute star. And if we get Amrabat, the quality that gives us in the middle, I don't think that's enough for us to win the league, but I think it's good enough for us to improve between 10 to 15 points, which I think puts us near a title race. If we then did a madness with some sales and brought in a Harry Kane or somebody of that level, then I think we can win the Premier League if Kane's added to those numbers there. But I trust Ten Hag very much. Of course, we're going to lose some games next year. Of course, we're not going to be perfect in every match. But I think we're going to see a better Man United, a team that wins more, a team that is more dangerous, a team that is more dominant. And yeah, I'm excited. The fact that we played Arsenal and Real Madrid, and I go by the first halves and up until the subs, because when you make mass substitutions and the game becomes a bit unrealistic from that point. But we dominated the ball. We had more possession. And I know I'm happy we're moving in that direction, because I want to see us have more of the ball. We still haven't seen all of our main players play together yet, but I'm excited about the new season for Man United. We've still got a way to go to catch Arsenal and City, but I think top 4 right now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm 100% confident that Man United make it. And with the right signings, if they click, I think we could have a very, very good season as a club.
Terry, a couple of times now you mentioned if we sign Harry Kane, if we have sale.
Yeah, I was about to. Yeah, Mo, you're
Do
thinking
you
how
know
I am.
something we don't know? Do you know
No, I
something
don't.
we don't
Mate,
know?
honestly, I reach out to journalists to try and talk about this, and they're like, and as far as we're aware, United are not looking. They keep publicly stating that they've pulled away. That's why I believe something will happen. It's just, it seems too bait to me. It seems too, I don't know. It's something about it. I feel like what we're doing is sitting back and letting a fee be almost agreed with Bayern Munich, and then I think we're going to try and step in and get him. Because there's been a few little reports in the last few days that if Man United was to make some sales, they may come back in for Harry Kane. And it's from some quite credible people. So I think there's half a chance. I think there's half a chance we could come back in for him, but we have to sell people for the right money. And like 20 million for Maguire isn't enough. Like, I think we should be getting 30 to 40 million for him. McTominay,
I think we can as
McTominay,
well.
same thing. Like, I wouldn't accept 20 million for Maguire. I think he's better than 20 million. He's an England. He's had a bad time at United, but he's an England regular, as an example. There is in the right system. There's a brilliant defender. There's a brilliant
And he's
defender.
still a good age.
Maguire.
He's 29. He's not
Exactly.
35.
In the right team.
I
So
want
if we
to
raise-
journalists isn't Ben Jacobs, by the way.
No, it's not
Okay.
Ben Jacobs. He hasn't said nothing. Like, he has played down the Kane situation. But remember, this time last year, all the journalists were saying there's no way. Ericsson said no to Man United. He's rejected them. He's not going there. I'm not saying that they're not always right. And I just got this feeling if we can get 30, 40 million for both Maguire and McTominay, around that 10, 15 million mark for Fred, similar amounts for Dean Henderson, you're raising nearly 100 million. They said all summer that we've got about 150 to spend. The 4 signings we're looking at is that 150. Then we're looking to raise about 100 million in sales. Well, I think we're going to spend that 100 million on someone like Harry Kane. I really do think the club are going to go in there and do it.
I said something like this because Van der Beek's looking like he might be going to Sociedad with a permanent loan with a permanent move. Maguire, I don't know if West Ham going to even fall. He might end up staying, to be fair. I can see Maguire staying this year. I don't think no one wants to pay 35 million for him. Probably just get him next year, maybe, right? I can see McTominay leaving. I can see West Ham paying up the 40 million. If you can fork that out for Gallagher, I'm pretty sure now you've played your cards to show that Man United, you can fork out that for McTominay. Elanga, 15 million, 5 million if they get a European place. I don't see that happening. So let's call it 50 million. And then whatever other sales that might go around might get there. But it just depends, like Glazers. The thing is, it's about, do they sanction it or not? This FFP stuff is bullshit. It's bollocks. It's not true. Man. All this time, it's just been a farce for Man United not to spend. But I do like the way Man United have gone about their business. So what if we need to make sales to go spend? That's how it should be anyways, rather than, because we've had a bloated squad for how long with absolute dull quality,
We're behaving the right way as well, Kaz. We're behaving the right way. If we were if we were doing with Kane what we were trying to do with Sancho, and we every other day there's an update of we're willing to pay 100 million, 100 million, 100 million, all the other signings become more expensive because those clubs know you've got money. If we pull out publicly in the beginning and say we're too skint, people can't hold you over a barrel. We have behaved the wrong way in the market for 10 years. We have overspent on players and we have undersold. And I know fans have this warped nature of, it's not my money, why do I care? Well, because you run out of it and then you end up in a situation where you need to go and buy a striker in January and you can only afford Weghorst, because that is not who our manager wanted. He wanted to go and sign Gakpo, but we didn't have the 40-odd million pounds, I think 37 million pounds available because the money had run out because we keep wasting it. So for me, we're trying to get, that's why when people say, just sell Maguire for 20 million, no, that's underselling him. I know people don't rate him, but in 2020, Tyrone Mings was sold for 25 million pounds and Maguire is twice as good as Tyrone Mings. He really is. So look, we're not going to get the 80 million pound back. We know that, but he ain't no 20 million pound player.
Yeah, we can
McTominay is better than Gallagher. He's better than Gallagher. If Gallagher's 45 million, so is Scott McTominay. Like, we've got Man United fans. I know we don't like certain players at our club, but we've got to stop underselling their value in the market. When Liverpool are selling Jordan Ives for 20 million pounds, Brewsters who'd never kicked a ball for 25 million.
Dominic Solanke's, yeah.
Exactly. City have just sold. The City sell youth players that haven't kicked a professional ball for 15, 20 million quid. And I'm not digging them out. I'm saying, well done. That's because they've got an authority in the market and we need to get that back. And I know it's boring for fans, but it's so important because that money, that extra money, helps us continue to buy. So, yeah, for me, And it's true. Someone Daniel said in the comments there, you're not good at selling. No, we're not good at selling. So we need to become better at it. And like it's crazy. But for me, I still think there's an outside chance of Kane. But Man United, I'm excited about our season. I think we're going to be much improved on last year. You saw that in the first half against Arsenal. We can grow from that. Yeah, very, very exciting times ahead. And mark my words about Højlund, there's an absolute baller in there. Can hold the ball up. He's strong. He's quick. Eye for a goal. And look, 9 goals last year, great. He'll score, in my opinion, at least 15 goals this season in the league. I'm talking about at least 15 goals in the league.
What's
He
a
really
successful season in for Premier League tally alone? What does someone like Højlund, who's rumored to be now, I don't know, about 60 million quid in a package, right?
I'd take 15 goals, 100%. Cass. I'll take 15
because we were screaming that Nunes needed to hit a certain amount, and I know Nunes is a bit older than him by a few years, but was a successful season under Højlund and for Man United.
Yeah, I think 15 is fair. We scored 58 as a team last year, and you look at the attack or the players we had, to say by name, for example, you'd expect us to score more goals. I think we had the 3rd lowest goal scorer in the top 10 in the Premier League. So I think adding Højlund will be 15. I think Sancho and Anthony can definitely increase their levels of what they got last year, chipping in with more goals. I think Mason Mount will add a few, Casemiro will add a few. And I think the team will definitely elevate in terms of their output, because we didn't have a problem creating chances last year. It was more putting them away. And I did Erik ten Hag now with the 2nd year with him, you know, the players adapting to his system. I definitely think the team can score goals, and Højlund has the instinct to want to score goals. I think that's the difference with Man United players like Rashford. Yes, I know he's a bit more cutting and shoot, but you've got Bruno, you've got Anthony, you've got Sancho. They're more like that creative, that feel. They're a bit more unselfish. I'm not going to lie. I just want to have someone who actually, if he misses a chance, cool, but at least he's actually brave enough to take the shot, take the chance, and Højlund can do that. And when he strikes the ball, I know I don't want to talk about MG, but when MG strikes the ball, it was like that Podolski feeling, like it was like an arrow. And I feel like when Højlund strikes the ball, it's with conviction. So I think he can score 15. And I even tweeted it the other day talking about the transfers, just linking it back, that Man United are looking to make sales before they even look for a potential bid for Amrabat. And like it came out about 2 hours later with Fabrizio saying it. So we're like interested, and I think that deal gets done, but we definitely want to make the sales first. And obviously Elanga's gone, the Henderson one's still brewing. We've got Donny van der Beek coming out now, the McTominay Maguire. So like we were reporting, it's actually coming out now. So I feel like that Amrabat deal will get done. And I think with the expectations of Mo's question, I think context is key. What you were saying earlier with Jurg, someone saying about Arteta getting sacked. Because Man United finished 3rd last year, and I'm not going to say it's a false 3rd. We finished 3rd because we finished 3rd, and you know Newcastle finished 4th, and Liverpool finished 10th, 11th, and so forth. Liverpool will be better this season. Chelsea are the unknown quantity, 1 game a week. We don't know what they're going to be like. We don't know what other signings they're going to bring in. Newcastle are the ones that might drop off, because how are they going to manage the Champions League and the Premier League with the squad they've got? And then you know Arsenal and City are going to be there. So for me, if Man United finish a good 4th, and we compete or say we win a domestic trophy and we get to like a quarters of a Champions League, I'll still say that's actually a good season, because a lot of people can measure progress as, okay, you finished 3rd last year, so you better finish 2nd last year. No, football does not work like that. But lazy people would say, oh, okay, you need to finish 2nd to show an improvement. No, because Arsenal and City should be competing and challenging, rightly so. And Liverpool, like we're saying, are here or there. They're going to get top 4, but could they pip us? Could they not? So
context is key. You're right, Ty. Because if we say we get 12 more points, then that's an improvement. But we might come 4th.
We might come 4th.
12 more points.
Still, exactly.
So you're a better team. There's a comment here that I want to highlight from Konip, who says 70 million for 15 goals. Can't wait for FFP to kill United. But again, it's not 70 million. You're trying to make it sound like pounds. Okay, it's going to be around 60 million in totality, but that includes bonuses. And a lot of those bonuses will be if we win major trophies. It will cost about 55 million pounds for the player. But you don't judge that spend on one season. You're gonna judge it over his time at Man United. This is weird notion of, it's like with Anthony, 85 million for that one season, but he hasn't left. He hasn't left on a free this summer. You have to assess him over a period of time. And I get that Liverpool fans will say everyone was attacking Nunes. Yeah, they were, but I weren't. So you can't challenge my opinion with something somebody else has said. It doesn't make sense to me. But he's a talented player. I think 15 goals from him will be a really good return. And there's a comment from Maradon here. He says, Terry, like you said about Sancho and Mohamed Mudryk, I still think Mudryk is a very talented player, and it's about when you join a club. And by the way, I think if Sancho came to Man United this summer with his confidence that he had at Dortmund, he'd hit the ground running. He joined at the beginning of our worst season in 40 years, and it killed the kid. And I'm ruthless, so I kind of want us to, if he doesn't improve, I want us to move on. But Jadon Sancho is still a very, very good football player. That I think if sometimes circumstances can look how poor Varane looked in his first season at Man United with the way the club was falling apart. So listen, my talent ID when it comes to Sancho is still there. There's a brilliant footballer in him. Let's just see what else he can do. But yeah, I like Højlund. I like what Man United are doing. I think we're going to have a very good season.
So the last piece about Man United before we move on. So first of all, Gigantico Club, the football is saying Derry would have accepted. He already answered that. This one is related to my question. Craig is saying, I think Liverpool and Man United were challenged. I want to ask the Man United fans, why are people disregarding Man United?
Because they don't want to see us rise again. That's why.
It's ridiculous. You finished third behind Arsenal, single digits. Me and Cass talked about it many times. And you bought players. You bought one of the best goalkeepers out there. You're buying Amrabat. You're buying a striker. Why are people disregarding Man United? Seriously, genuine question.
Last 10 years have been awful from Man United, right? Bar last season. And it's expected, right? Until that's a turnaround and anything major is won other than a Carabao Cup, you're not going to change the minds of rivals, right? Like, it's just the way it's going to be. It's just
I don't put us in, and I'm a United fan, I don't put us in a title hunt yet. I've always said that the right centre-back role, I love Varane, but we need quality and depth there. Lindelof can step in at times and look good, but then you can't have that full confidence that he's going to do a thing Maguire's done. Obviously, Luke Shaw can slot in at left centre-back, but then obviously that leaves Malacia, who's in his second season. Let's see what happens if he kicks on. I just feel like Amrabat is a definite must. I feel like them are big away games that you were talking on the away record earlier. He can go in there with Casemiro and add that steal where we get through the first 30 minutes at Anfield and changes the way we play and get into games. Also, he's a volume passer. People don't realize Fiorentina had the third highest possession in Serie A last year. They think he just comes in, he's physical, the World Cup, this and that. This guy can pass the ball. He can pass through the lines. He can do that. And I think that's where people miss that stuff.
I've seen a lot of that chat of people saying, but him and Casemiro are the same, so they can't play together.
No, they're not. Like,
no, I just let them say it. And then I'm like, afterwards, I say, KJ, make sure you're clipping all these together for a montage.
Yeah, because they'll be surprised. He's a volume passer. Man United have missed that. For me, one of the most underappreciated players. I love Michael Carrick. Terry Castle, remember. Mo, of course. I love Michael Carrick. England should have even played him more. So we need a volume passer in there. So I feel like the right centre-back, we need Amrabat in there. And obviously, Højlund, I like him. And like Terry says, the potential was there. The long term, 15 goals in the season is a good return. But do I believe that we can win the Premier League with him coming in this first season? I just think we fall a bit short. A bit how Liverpool are making good signings, but they've got to tweak or improve and gel in that way. I feel like the quality and depth is what might make us fall short, especially with the Champions League as well. But it doesn't mean we're going to have a bad season. Just because we're not challenging, I'm not saying that we're going to win the league, it doesn't mean Man United are not going to improve. We're still going to be competitive. Our home form was so good last year. Our away form needs to improve, but we are progressing. When Ten Hag come in, Mo, we all wanted, the first thing we wanted at Man United was better football. Me and Cass go to games and we would turn up and wouldn't know what type of team, what type of football we're going to play. It could be just this and that. We go to Man United, the feeling outside the stadium is good now. You feel like you actually got a style of play. So the first thing was that. The rest follows. And we also got top 4 last year and won a trophy. When some people even said last year, we might not get top 4, we'll take top 6 in better football, like myself, or, and so forth. So we actually exceeded our expectations last year. So we're progressing, and I'm happy to accept if we progress at a realistic rate and we get the good players in, because maybe the year after this is the year I can actually come on here and say, do you know what? I want to be challenging for the title. This is Ten Hag's 3rd season. He should now have the players. He's had 6 windows, January and the summer, to get the players he wants in, because we're getting 3 or 4 in this summer. He got 3 or 4 in last summer. That's 8. If he gets by the next summer, that's 12 players. We should be competing if we're Manchester United and we show the progress we did last year again this season. So yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to the year after this. But of course, this year I expect progress, but not to challenge just yet.
Yeah, the last bit before we end, I don't want to take a lot of time, is anybody here talking about Newcastle being in the top 4 again?
No.
They're improving.
I haven't heard anyone mention on any show, Mo, Newcastle top 4.
Yes, which is strange. They added they added Tonali. They're still looking for. So they added Harvey Barnes, which is people don't rate. I think Harvey Barnes is a good signing for them. They got rid of Alan Saint-Maximin, who caused problems for them. Isaac now his second season. He should improve on last season. Why everybody is not taking them seriously? For me, I take them seriously. If you watch Newcastle, they play the same style of football. When they played that last game against Chelsea, they tried to play the same style of football. They are improving like the rest. I think they're going to be there and thereabout. The top four, in my opinion, are going to look like this. It's going to compress. It's not going to be a big difference. I think everybody's going to be closer to each other than last year.
Yeah, that could happen. Do you know what's interesting with Newcastle? They won 19 games last year. They only lost 5, but they drew 14 matches. It's about what direction those draw. I just can't imagine them drawing 14 games again. That's excessively high. I'm just going back what you were saying that over the last few seasons, and like no one in the top 7. That normally like 10 or 11 is about the most anybody ever gets if you go back over the last few years. But 14 draws is hugely excessive. Again, yeah, about 10 or 11 is typically as high as it goes. It depends what direction those draws go in. If they turn into wins, then yes. But some of those draws they had, they could have easily lost, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying they didn't deserve it last year. I'm not saying they didn't warrant it. Plus, they've got that Champions League football, and they just haven't been there for such a long time. How is that going to impact them? A little bit like Leicester when they had their Champions League campaign. I think their Champions League campaign took away from them in the Premier League because it becomes very hard. Because it isn't like the Europa League where you rest and can rotate. You're playing twice a week, highly competitive, very difficult matches. And it's a mentality shift, which they're just not used to. So, look, they might still make the Champions League again, because remember, top 5. It's top 5 because we've got the coefficient points. So essentially, you can come. We all keep saying top 4, but top 5 is going to be enough next year. So I think Newcastle are a good shout for 5th in the league. I really do think they're a good shout for 5th, but yeah, I don't know about any higher than that.
Chelsea, though, for me, they get Caicedo, they get Kudus, they are a threat. Under Poch progressive football, they are a threat because they have a front line of Mudryk, Jackson guy who looks absolutely brilliant out of nowhere, Nkunku experience behind him, and Kudus on the right side with Madueke. I trust Kudus will get that starting place. Enzo and Caicedo, starting 11, no European football. He can play all the youngsters in the cups. I think it looks okay. They don't have depth though. I think Chelsea can be the 5th place. That's just my opinion.
I love Mo. How do you know what?
Chelsea, I'm saying again, Chelsea. You know what? Bun it. Chelsea finishing above Liverpool. I said it. I don't care. Get on to me. I don't care.
Yeah, but anyway, guys.
Mom just said Chelsea will get top 4. Interesting. Do you know what I just want to quickly say, Mo? It's so funny how, and I don't rate Sterling at Chelsea. I think the responsibility was too much for him last year when they relied on him being the main man. But you listed all them attackers, 6 or 7, even some bench players, and you didn't mention Sterling. It's just funny how, like, within a year, a lot of people have just said Sterling's done. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think he'll struggle this year. I think this will be probably his last year at Chelsea. Potentially, he'll move again, but. Yeah. You don't even mention him no more. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
I didn't, to be honest. I didn't. Guys, I've been here for an hour, 10 minutes or so. Had a brilliant guest, Terry Flowers from the Football Terrace. Make sure if you haven't subscribed to the Football Terrace, just go on. They are in the description. Fantastic content, daily videos, daily lives, match reactions, everything football news as well. Terry, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you, Terry, bro.
Absolute pleasure, boys. Enjoyed myself. Again, nice and chill and relaxed. So, yeah,
how's it feeling not being a host? Did you just settle in nice? Do you feel
I love it. I don't even have to do anything when it finishes. I can just stop and go about my business. Do you know what I mean? It's nice. I've got no little after work stuff to do. Check this is working. Check it ain't been demonetized. Like, I ain't got to do anything like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, yes, bless
nice, nice. And I big up for coming on, man. That was a great show.
Yeah, so still over 1,000 people here, guys. Hit that like button before you go. Comment underneath. Tell us what you thought about the video. Where are you tuning from? But we'll see you tomorrow for a video news. For
the outro, pressure Terry how much you like this video and how much you like to see him on again, so we can get him on because he feels pressured. And it means you don't have to send anything to his PayPal next time. And also, if you stay on here, it will redirect to Monts. Make sure you go smash some likes on Monts' video and show him some love. The guy's going in the next 10 minutes. Huh? Yeah. And then yeah, we'll be
Okay.
back at 2 p.m. tomorrow before a hectic night happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
But big up, guys.
And
Have a great Friday and a great weekend.
we're out.